online right now. We are on StreamYard. We're broadcasting this on our Facebook page and on the WCCO Twitter account. Adam and Jordana, we're taking you up to 11:30. Twins baseball coming up then. But Joe Lindsley is with Lviv Lab. If you've watched Jordana and Paul in the afternoon since the war in Ukraine started, you know Joe's work. He is in Ukraine. Joe, thank you so much for taking the time in the situation you're in. And before we went on the air, you were explaining kind of the harrowing experience that you had today. Take us through that, where you are and what you witnessed today.
Yes, good afternoon. Good to meet you, Adam. I've been based for the past week or so in the city of Dnipro, south central Ukraine, a city of about 1 million people. Today, I went on a supply run with our team at Ukrainian Freedom News. We also deliver supplies, which is to the soldiers and hospitals who need it. And we were in Donetsk, which is a province, one of the main, actually where the most intense fighting is right now. And I can tell you more about that, what happened there today. But as we were driving back to the city of Dnipro this afternoon, two bombers flew very low over our heads, maybe about 100 feet from the ground, which likely would be to escape detection by air defense.
Sure.
And it was hard to get a good look on it, but there was a little tiny minibus next to us, and all the people saw these planes fly over. And then not too long after that, we had reports that the city of Dnipro, to which we were returning, was struck by two Russian bombers. So we likely saw those bombers fly overhead. And you can, as soon as I realized that, you can feel the menace of that situation. We're still gathering information on what exactly happened in Dnipro. As I got to the city, the alarm was still going on and people were walking around. I mean, there is this amazing Ukrainian resilience, but everyone was looking to the sky. And I did have a report from someone on Twitter, a journalist who was waiting at the train station from Dnipro to Kyiv. And he said when the air siren went off tonight, most people did not react because they get used to it. And then a soldier started yelling, "Go to the tunnels now, get to the tunnels." So they knew something was coming. And that's where we are today in the city of Dnipro.
Joe, that's an interesting point because I think people lose that fact that, okay, they think war, so countries shut down and people huddle. But you are in cities that, as much as possible, people are trying to go on with their daily lives in the midst of this. Give us a sense of how that works and how unusual it is to see that.
Yeah, I mean, even so today we were 10 miles from the front in the city where people still go to the shops and they still go about their lives. They have to. You have no choice. And then we saw, and the world saw that the Russian strike on the mall in Kremenchuk yesterday. I saw that mall 2 weeks ago as we were driving through. The Russian propaganda tried to say it was some munitions site. No, it's a mall with a grocery store and electronic stores. And yes, so some of the propaganda said, why would people be at a mall during a war? Well, it's what is it now? Day 124th. I think we call it February 145th now, or whatever it is. February has never stopped. People have to go about their lives. They have to start making money. They have to shop. And so there is that you find a normalcy here. It's difficult. And sometimes you can see right under the surface that there's a lot of emotion and pain. For example, over the weekend with a band from Ohio, some very brave musicians, we came to South Ukraine. We went to the city of Nikopol, which is on the Dnipro River. Right across the river from that city, you can see the Russian occupation. It's about maybe 2 miles across the river, the widest point of the water. And you could see the activity. You could see the smoke across the water. And we had a concert there for the soldiers and children and volunteers in the city. And the band played a Ukrainian folk song. I was talking with a girl who's a volunteer. She's a very confident girl. And then all of a sudden she hears this song and she was crying for 2 minutes. And so there is this, underneath, I mean, just a little bit below the surface, everyone is in a great amount of pain, but you have to keep going and for victory and for life.
The mall strike that you mentioned that we heard about, what do we know about? I mean, so this is Russians targeting a shopping mall. Is that basically what it is?
Yeah, clearly. I mean, there was the train station is maybe a block away, as I saw when I was there 2 weeks ago. But generally, it seems the Russians have been very precise with their targeting. It's in a strange way. For example, when they hit Kyiv on Sunday morning, they hit the same block that they hit in April, which is very curious. But it's a civilian site, and I saw a video this morning of rescuers going in, and you could hear the screams of people inside it. I don't have much information on the latest stats because I was off the grid all day when we were delivering supplies to Donetsk because the soldiers that we were giving supplies to, a few days ago, their supply depot was totally destroyed by the Russians, and so now it's an extra higher level of security. So I was when those jets flew overhead, my phone was off, and we were sort of in lockdown mode. All I saw was the jets in the sky, and then as we returned to Dnipro, I learned the information. But I do know that many people died in that mall, and there's a lot of people missing in the wreckage.
Yeah, at least 20, I think, as of last report. And I don't know, the number of missing is much higher than that. Joe Lindsley is with Lviv Lab, who is in Ukraine. The thing that, Joe, here in the United States, obviously there have been major news stories happening, and it has gripped the attention, obviously, and rightly so, of Americans. But sadly, the situation in Ukraine has dropped from our attention span, but it needs still to be there. If you had a message to people listening right now, I guess, what is the number one message as to how the situation is going there and what is happening in Ukraine?
I think the best message would be a text message I received today from a friend who is fighting in outside of Lysychansk, which right now it's the next city that the Russians are working to totally control. They're pounding that city every single day. And my friend who's fighting out there, we were supposed to meet today, but it was not possible. He said, Ukrainians are fighting not just for Ukraine, but for the freedom of the world. And the next countries, if Ukraine is to lose, then Poland will be under threat, Scandinavia, and more further and further into Europe. And so this is something that, and you look at the attack on the mall yesterday, any regime that would do that, if they're emboldened, nothing will stop them. And so I think the clearest message is Ukraine needs help. And that help needs to be, as my friend said, they need new weapons. They need more longer range weapons so they can fire at the Russians, but not so close that they can still get shot. And
Right.
A lot of what's been arriving here has not been of that caliber. So that is the message I would say is, this is not just about Ukraine, and it's going to come and affect the rest of the world even more.
And further evidence of the Russian, propaganda, I saw that they're threatening Ukraine that any attempt to retake Crimea would be a declaration of war. That's rich coming from the country that attacked Ukraine in February. Oh, war is not happening right now.
Their propaganda is astounding, and I think part of it because they live in such isolation. And when was the last time you think Putin had a real conversation when someone challenged him? So you kind of lose your mental capabilities in that regard. And a senior Russian parliamentary official even said, "We are willing to bomb London." So I mean, they're telling us this stuff, and I think that we need to listen.
Yeah, Joe, thank you so much as always for your time. Stay safe over there. We appreciate you giving our audience here on WCCO Radio an update.
Great, thanks. And you can check us out at UkrainianFreedomNews.com.
All right, that is Joe Lindsley from Lviv Lab. Shifting gears, obviously, right now, we do have another pair of Twins tickets to give away, a 4-pack to see the Twins and the Orioles on Sunday, July 3rd. That's this Sunday. 4-pack. Third caller to 651-461-9226 wins those tickets right now. We'll meet our winner after the break. It's Adam and Jordana on News Talk 830 WCCO.